The ship rocked gently as it approached the harbor, its foghorn echoing across the dawn-lit waters. Maria Alvarez clutched her suitcase to her chest, her heart beating fast. New York City stretched before her like a promise, tall, mysterious, alive. She was 22, newly arrived from a small coastal town in Puerto Rico. Her clothes were simple, her savings small, and her English barely enough to ask for directions. But her dreams, oh, they were enormous. She whispered to herself, "One day, I'll make this city know my name." As she stepped off the ship and onto the pier, a cold wind brushed her face. It wasn't the warmth of home. The sun here was pale. The air smelled of metal and salt. But beneath her fear was a quiet determination. She walked the crowded streets of Lower Manhattan with a small paper map and a note in her pocket, the address of a boarding house run by a kind widow named Mrs. Dawson. The woman had rented Maria a tiny attic room for $5 a week. That night, as the city hummed below her, Maria sat by her narrow window and wrote in her notebook. New York feels too big for one heart, but maybe hearts grow bigger here. The next morning, she began her search for work. She tried cafes, laundries, sewing shops, until finally she found a bakery on 14th Street. A wooden sign read, "Harper's Breads and Biscuits." Inside, the smell of fresh loaves wrapped around her like home. Mr. Harper, the owner, was a stout man with a mustache and a kind smile. He eyed her resume, written in shaky English, then looked at her eager face. "You ever worked in a bakery before, miss?" he asked. "No, sir," she said softly, "but I can learn fast, very fast." Something in her tone, honest, hopeful, made him nod. "All right then, aprons in the back." We start early. From that day on, Maria became part of the heartbeat of Harper's Bakery. She arrived before sunrise, kneading dough, washing trays, learning recipes by sight and smell. She didn't earn much, but she found purpose in every loaf that rose perfectly golden. And it was there, between the hum of ovens and the rhythm of kneading bread, that she first saw him. His name was Strong Elias Romano, a young delivery driver with dark hair, rolled-up sleeves, and eyes that carried both mischief and kindness. He delivered flour sacks every morning and always had a joke ready. "Careful with those loaves, señorita," he'd tease. "You might make me fall in love with your bread before I even taste it." Maria would blush and look away, pretending to focus on her work. But her heart began to beat differently every time his truck pulled up. Weeks passed. Their morning chats grew longer, about family, about dreams, about what it meant to start over in a foreign city. Elias had come from Italy with his brothers, chasing opportunity. They shared the same loneliness, two souls far from home, trying to build a future from nothing. One rainy afternoon, as the bakery grew quiet, Elias appeared soaking wet with a broken umbrella. "You're dripping all over my floor," Maria scolded playfully. "Then I'll buy something." He said, grinning, "What's your best bread today?" She handed him a loaf she'd baked herself. "This one. I call it Pan de Esperanza, bread of hope." He took a bite, his eyes widening. "Then you've just given me both bread and hope, Maria." That night, Maria couldn't sleep. The city lights flickered through her window, and for the first time, she felt something new, a reason to stay. In the weeks that followed, Elias began to bring her small gifts: an apple from the market, a sprig of lilac, a newspaper clipping about immigration dreams. Sometimes, he'd simply stay after deliveries, helping her close up shop. They'd sit by the window with coffee, watching the world rush by. "Do you ever feel small here?" she asked him once. "Every day," he said. "But maybe small things, like kindness or love, are what make this city beautiful." Maria smiled. "Then I want to be one of those small things." As autumn turned to winter, their friendship deepened into something quiet and certain. But love in New York was never simple. Elias's family wanted him to return to Italy to help his brothers with their business. Maria couldn't afford to leave. She was still barely surviving. The night before he was set to leave, he came to the bakery one last time. Snow fell outside as they stood in the warm glow of the ovens. "I don't want to go," he said. "Then stay," she whispered. He took her hand, rough from kneading dough. "One day, Maria, I'll come back for you. I'll build something worth bringing you into." She smiled through her tears. "I'll wait, but not forever." And then in that quiet bakery, with flour dust floating like snow, they shared their first kiss. It was soft, uncertain, and full of promise. When Elias left, Maria stood by the window, watching his truck disappear into the night. The city seemed colder than ever, but inside her heart, something warm had begun to rise, like bread in an oven.